Hello, everyone. I'm Sign1News anchor Gatry Persaud. Here's a quick look at the top trending stories making headlines today. If you post an interesting comment during this update, we may add it at the bottom of the screen. Here's what's happening today. Authorities in Tulsa, Oklahoma are still investigating the mass shooting on the campus of Francis Hospital. 4 people died in the shooting. The suspected gunman is also dead. Authorities say it appears he killed himself. Officials say 10 people were hurt, but their injuries are not serious. Police say this was not a random shooting. They say the gunman came to the hospital for a specific reason. He went to a specific floor and shot with a specific purpose. 2 of the people killed were found in the same room as the gunman. Investigators have identified the shooter as Michael Lewis, who specifically targeted Dr. Preston Phillips. Authorities say Lewis believed that Preston was responsible for the pain he suffered following back surgery. Here is video from the press conference today explaining what officers discovered when they entered the building.
We believe that was the final gunshot, with the suspect taking his own life. The gunshot was at 4:58 p.m., approximately 39 seconds after the first officers entered the building. As officers started clearing the building, they came across a victim that was down in the exam room. Officers requested IMSA to the floor and continued searching the suspect for the suspect. This victim later died at the hospital. We found the suspect and we rescued a female who was hiding under a desk at the suspect's foot. She was there when the suspect took his life. She did not appear to be injured. Officers rescued that victim who was hiding under a desk, but officers also located another deceased victim next to the shooting suspect. Officers continued to search the building for victims or additional suspects and came across another victim that was down in an open area near a nurse's station. At this point, officers began directing first responders, IMSA, and fire to those victims to render first aid. Again, this is something that we work cooperatively with, and we can go into what we call a hot environment with medical personnel and fire personnel and start rendering aid. In that same room there was the victim was at, officers also rescued an elderly female that was in the room. As officers continued to clear the building, they located Dr. Phillips deceased in an exam room. As officers continued to clear the building, they removed multiple witnesses and victims and escorted them from the building. As more officers arrived on scene, we began a methodical search of each floor of the 5-story structure, looking for witnesses and or victims. Thus far, we have recovered 30 .223 casings from the crime scene. We have also recovered 7 .40 caliber casings from the crime scene. We have also found a letter on the suspect which made it clear that he came in with the intent to kill Dr. Phillips and anyone who got in his way. He blamed Dr. Phillips for the ongoing pain following the surgery.
The shooting in Tulsa is the latest incident of public gun violence in the past 2 weeks, including the school massacre in Uvalde, Texas. Many people are looking for ways to support the families of the victims and survivors in Uvalde. Here are ways you can help and avoid scams. First, the Robb School Memorial Fund is an official account started by the First State Bank of Uvalde. The One Star Foundation will also give 100% of the donations collected to that memorial fund. To help cover medical expenses, consider giving to University Health San Antonio. They have created the Uvalde Victims Relief Fund to support families while their loved ones are at the university hospital. GoFundMe has set up an online hub of verified fundraisers. But just like any other fundraiser, the Better Business Bureau recommends making sure it's verified to avoid a scam. And it's not just money that's needed. The Uvalde community has a huge need for blood donations and legal assistance as well. President Biden held a virtual conference with the country's top baby formula makers and is now holding them accountable for the next steps they're taking to increase production. A few minutes into the meeting, Biden admitted he did not understand how big of an impact the shutdown of the Abbott baby formula plant in Michigan and formula recalls would have on supply in the U.S. He then asked each manufacturer to tell him about what changes they've made to move the formula faster from their factories to store shelves. United Airlines is helping by becoming the first major airline to donate planes to ship baby formula from Australia to the United States next week. The White House also launched a formula response website to increase production and get safe and affordable baby formula on store shelves. You are now going to start seeing Amber Alerts on Instagram. The social media platform will notify users of missing children in their area. The post will include details about the missing child as well as photos and the location of the suspected abduction. Amber Alert posts are also designed to be shared with friends and followers to further spread awareness. Other social media platforms have already been sharing information about missing children for years. Facebook started including Amber Alerts in 2015, and Google began sharing Amber Alerts to users in 2012. After months of a deadly and devastating war with Russia, the people of Ukraine finally have something to celebrate. Ukraine's soccer team beat Scotland 3-1 in a World Cup playoff semifinal. and they're now one win away from qualifying for the FIFA World Cup later this year. The emotional victory brought many Ukrainian fans to tears. Ukraine now needs to beat Wales on Sunday in the playoff final to reach the World Cup. We'll see this Sunday, keeping our fingers crossed. Speaking of soccer, Sign1News anchor Vanessa Paloma Bajarnik was a volunteer during the FIFA Women's World Cup in France in 2019. The 2023 Women's World Cup will be played in Australia. But officials with FIFA reached out to Mickey and her sister Sabrina earlier this week to get their thoughts on how the organization can make sure future events are more accessible for people with disabilities. So Mickey says it's very important for the next step for FIFA. It's just my wish that they would just set up more video recordings. Captioning would be great, and other things to put right there on the screen, in the next 4 years to come. So they will be ready for the deaf community in general. And they will have that visual, like, I can apply, I can do it. It'll just give them more experiences that way. Same for me. They definitely must provide a little more, captioning on there for the deaf community. Before there was kind of nothing on the screen for the deaf community, signing. So it's important that we can see that captioning right there on the web, right there on the screen. And a reminder, June is Pride Month. There will be parades, festivals, and concerts taking place all over the country to celebrate the LGBTQ community. The New York Pride Parade is one of the largest and most well-known celebrations. About 2 million people attended in 2019. Pride Month started as a tribute to those who took part in the Stonewall riots. Pride Day itself is June 28th. It marks the day in 1969 when police raided a gay club in New York City called the Stonewall Inn. That led to customers, staff, and neighborhood residents rioting outside. Protests and clashes continued for 6 days. Protesters demanded the creation of places where the LGBTQ community could be open about their sexual orientation without having to fear getting arrested. The country has been celebrating the LGBTQ community ever since. So happy Pride Month, everyone. Sign1News will be broadcasting updates Monday through Friday. And a reminder, the Sign1News Saturday virtual show is taking a break for the summer, but we will see you again in the fall. You can download the Sign1News app by heading to the App Store or Google Play Store on your smartphone. A big thank you to our Sign1News app supporters. You help make this broadcast happen. You can also watch on Roku, Amazon, and Apple TV. Have a great day.